What is going on, everyone, and welcome to another episode of ToyShopFab. And in this video, we're fitting that second row seat out of a 2001 Cadillac Escalade into the cab of my 58 GMC pickup truck I call Corncob. But first, we're cutting out the floors. It's got rust. Yep, that's right. And for those of you that are new, this is my 58 GMC pickup truck that I picked up from Central Iowa. I want to say close to 2 years ago. We picked it up for about 1,800 bucks as a show. Came with a title, so that was nice. Me and my son Seth proceeded to cut out the original cross members of this truck. Stuffed in this big block 454. It's backed with a 4L80E transmission. Recently installed a 10 bolt out of a 2000 Chevy Silverado. Put fuel injection in it to help with some miles per gallons. And now we want to start working on comfort. And that, if you've ever sat in a Cadillac, those are pretty comfy seats. So, well, before I mount that in here, if you're aware or familiar with Iowa, some of the vehicles there are a little rusted, right? Especially ones that have been sitting for a long time. And if I remember correctly, this thing here has been sitting, it's been off the road since 1979. It's been up and down the street here a couple times. And well, now we're going to upgrade the interior of this thing, starting with that seat, but we need something to mount it to. And I'm going to show you what I'm working with. So here is the driver's side floorboard. Now you can see, if you needed to, while you're driving down the road, you can check to see if this tire still has air in it. And as you can tell, this one does. But it doesn't, and it lets a lot of other things through. Dirt, water if it's wet outside. But it isn't really quite all, it's not attached anymore. I could probably pull that off with my hands. Now, I went out this morning, picked up a couple of patch panels for these pickup trucks, and I started work on the passenger side, and I'm going to show you what I've got going on here. So as you can see, I have already cut out the floor. Now this patch panel has been fitted. Everything's been cleaned, test fitted. I have sprayed the frame rails with some rust converter. Probably going to hit it with another coat because I figured it's going to be a while before anybody gets back up on the top of this frame rail and inside these little braces and cross members. As you can see, I've left a nice little edge all the way around for us to be able to weld our new patch panel to. Now there is still some rust in other areas, and I will get to those as time goes on, but I figured the most important thing for us right now is to have something to bolt our seat to. Right, so you can see passenger side it's cut out, just waiting for some of that rust converter to do its thing before I start install this panel. And while that's happening, we are going to cut out the driver's side. Now, some of the things you probably are going to run into for jobs similar to this one, or if you're doing the same thing to your truck, I'm not sure. But here's what I've got, and here's what we're going, or here's what we're doing. So I did pick up another kind of cab mount kit so I can get the hardware replaced for this cab as well. And here is our driver's side patch panel. Now you can see the way it is. It is nice. It is one piece, and it will actually come up to this brace right here in the floor. Now the original way this is set up is you got your firewall. It comes down up underneath this panel and kind of wraps. It's got a little lip that wraps and sits on this cross member that goes right here, this support. And then this part of the floor goes over the top of it and comes all the way back to here. Well, that's not what our patch panels do, and that is fine. This is going to help fix and get rid of that big hole right there. So now the easiest way I can kind of go about this and kind of we can walk through this together, kind of, the easiest way I can do it, or I have done it, and it works for me, is first things first is you get your panel set up in there, kind of see what's going to hold you up. So already we can tell that that guy right there goes in there. So we've got to get a couple of those screws out. Probably a good idea just to get all of them out so we can slide that up. Come back over here. You see this has got a hole right here. Now this tells me that it's that hole right here. So we're going to have to remove our dimmer switch, and we've got spots we can kind of overlap. It'll help us set up and position this close to where it needs to be. Now you can also see here, this lip on our patch panel comes up. I'm not completely sure that's how the original was set. I think the originals were down, but being a patch panel, it's kind of hard, especially if the metal is good in there. We're going to pretend that it is. It would be hard to get this in the factory spot, so they bring it up for you and allow you to weld it on the inside up in the metal in here. That's fine, but you're going to see it's not flat, so you're going to have to work this, which is good. This is going to give you room to get this pan set where you want it. You got all these little channels here, or ribs. Not only do they give these pans strength, it's also going to help you line it up in these guys. And you can see this one here, slight little curve, is going to be in here somewhere. Then we have this rib right here. It's blocked off by someone's flat steel that they use to cover a hole, and it is a big one under there, and that is fine. And then now you have this guy here, which is this guy. We're going to have to use the hot wrench or death wheel or something to get that out. I do want to try to save this cup. Forgot to pick them up. So we're just going to hit it with a wire wheel, rebuild it. Now here's another thing too. We are going to use part of either this floor or that floor. We're going to use it to patch this hole because we no longer have our master cylinder here anymore. We upgraded that to one that's on the firewall with a vacuum booster and everything, but we're going to forget about that right now. We're going to see where this lip's at right here. Sits up against this guy right here. So we're going to have to clean up some of this junk, get it out of our way to get our patch panel to kind of sit flat for a little bit. We're going to have to knock this guy off as well. Get some of this other gunk out of there to give this thing somewhat of a flat spot to sit on. Also, what you're going to want to do, as you can see, this has a lip that comes all the way down, just like the factory pan did. So we can't set our new patch panel up and over this without at least cutting this lip off, because this lip and this lip, they're going to push this panel this way, and these guys are going to be a little off. They're not going to line up exactly where you want it, so we're going to want to get this guy out of the way all the way around here as well. We'll flatten this guy up a little bit more, because once we're inside, if we need to, we can always bring it back. And check up underneath the wheel well, right in between, on the other side of the firewall, whatever, in case there's another bracket or something, which there is on these. If you're familiar with the way these inner fenders bolt up, see if I can get in there. As you can see, if it'll focus, let's get in there. There's a bolt. Right there it is, right there in that bracket. So you got two, I believe, 1/2-inch bolts or nuts to hold that bracket on, and then it bolts to our inner fender. So we are going to have to remove that as well, because if we go to cut that off, it's going to hold us up. So make sure to get that out of the way. You're also going to want to check to see you don't have any brackets holding any of your wiring up against that firewall as well. And you kind of want to make sure you pull it away, because the last thing you want to do is take your death wheel there, cut your floral up, thinking you're having a good time, getting things going, getting things moving, and now you've got electrical to do. Not fun. So save yourself some hassle. Make sure you don't have any electrical brake lines or anything like that up against that panel, up against the floor, firewall, wherever it is you're cutting. So what I'm going to go ahead and do now is I'll go ahead and get you guys set up in the stand. Get you, see if I can't get you in here, up close. We'll start removing some of these little guys down here. chipping off some of this old gunk, getting ourselves set up so we can overlay this panel in place, our patch panel, and start figuring out where it is we need to cut. All right, floor has been cleared of everything that is in our way. Everything underneath has been cleared. I've gone ahead, chipped off all the other little, like the old installation, old sound deadening, all that. We got that chipped away as well. Went ahead and cleared this lip off too, to give our pan, you know, the best fit, the best pre-fit possible. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, gone ahead. Our pan is sitting above our old floor, and I've already gone ahead and just kind of marked off the areas I want to cut off. So that lip doesn't really seem to want to fit, and it's just a lot of turns and stuff. And I do like to overlap the panels a little bit and overlap the joints, just like you see there. I feel it's stronger, and you can see I cut that lip off. That way we can still use our factory lip for our tunnel. I'm going to do the same thing over here, and just so you can see what it kind of looks like, if we can get these guys centered up where that is, and then you come over here, you can see the lip on this panel doesn't quite fit, or is not quite in the same spot as our factory. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut that off all the way up there. I'm gonna also do the same thing here, cut that lip as well. We'll just overlap the two panels, our good floor with our repair floor, and I feel that will be strong enough. Like I said, I like to overlap it a little bit, probably about 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch. I feel it's much, much stronger there. You see that one, the passenger side's already got self-tappers holding it into place, making sure everything's nice and tight. It's got a good clean fit, and it has a zinc primer, weld-through primer sprayed in between the two panels. That way it gives a little bit more corrosion protection. Not to say that this truck needs it at all, right? So what I'm going to do is I'll go ahead and I'll cut off all these other little panels I have here, get that out of the way, come back in, fit the floor a little bit more, or fit our patch panel just a little bit more to the truck, mark off what we need, get a couple of self tappers in there, and get it secured to a point where we can mark off our floor, make sure everything's the way we want it, pull the panel out, cut our floor away, and get ready to put this piece back in. So I'll go ahead and get these freaking pieces, I'll just go ahead and get these pieces cut off, and I'll bring you right back. Panel has been cut, pieces have been trimmed off, and our patch panel has been tech screwed into place, and it actually fits pretty decent. Now you do have to remember these are aftermarket stamps, so for these ones to fit as well as they do, especially in a truck that's as rusted as this one, they actually fit pretty darn well. So, but I'm gonna go ahead and show you what we got. So here is our panel. Now we are going to make a patch panel for this because we no longer need this hole anymore. Our brakes are mounted on the firewall, and this, well, we can go ahead and get rid of that. So here's the area I did trim around this edge. I am, however, when we take this back off, I'm gonna clean up a little bit more. Bring it back probably, I don't know, maybe 1/16 or 1/18 of an inch, just to bring it a little bit this way of our radius or our curve here in the, our stamped in their sheet metal. We'll get that cleaned up. That, however, looks pretty darn good. We have got our factory flange for our tunnel, so that's going to be good. I am also going to go ahead and cut this lip off right here, just so I can leave myself room to get back in here and repair our vent box, just like that side over there. So I cut the lip off that before I tech screwed that in, left it open. I cut a little bit out of that so I could blow the dirt and leaves and sticks out of the hole, but that should give me enough room to come back later, make a patch panel for that as well. So you can see we got a little patch made for up there, just like we're gonna do here as well. So this flange actually cleaned up really well on the other side, and this one still looked pretty darn good. So when I hit it with the flapper disc, bring back some metal, we'll hit it with some self weld through primer, and we'll have something pretty decent to weld onto. Now, as well as this flange right here, this all looks pretty good up until this point, but for the most part this panel does also needs replaced, as well as this guy. So what I think I'm going to do is just go ahead, I'll get the holes drilled, I'll use some flush mount or some smaller self tappers, kind of hold this into place. That way it's somewhat sturdy and secure, and that way when I come back I don't have any welds to cut out or drill through. I can just go ahead and remove those, cut these panels out, replace what needs to be replaced, or replace what I can at the time. Like I said, it's one. I'm trying to say is you can do this one piece at a time. Just kind of set yourself up, think about it a little bit, set yourself up in a way where you can come back, make another little patch panel, replace what needs to be replaced. Because truthfully, if I was to sit here and actually go through every single part on this truck that needs to be replaced, I think the only thing I might be able to save is this pillar right here. So, like I said, the floors, we got our vents, lower pockets, now our step. This guy right here, step goes into the rocker needs replaced, cab corners need replaced, there's a little section back here on the floor that needs replaced, and the list can go on and on and on. So, one piece at a time, bang it out, have fun. And I wanted to do these floor pans too to kind of get this out here, because I feel like these, they're flat, well, they're more of a flat piece. They're it's a little more wide open, not as technical, but yeah, you still have to figure out how to get the ribs to fit, all our body lines around there, you know, use your noggin a little bit. But this is a good stepping stone for somebody to get in here and just replace some patch panels on your own, you know, save yourself a little bit of money, work on your vehicle, have some fun with it. So, but like I said, well, I'll go ahead and put a couple little self tappers right here just so it's secured, and we're going to do everybody else's favorite method to cover up those holes, you know, just to kind of keep some of the elements out. And I've got some of these guys I'm just going to go ahead and push into place. But right now I've got to get this panel back out of the truck. Like I said, I'm going to go ahead and trim this edge right here just to bring it back of our radius, and cut this inside lip off, get it ready. Once I got all that out, I'll go ahead and bring in the saw, start cutting our floor. old floor has been cut out of the truck. We went around the perimeter of our cut with a flap disc, got off all the old paint, primer, and gunk that was left behind. Sprayed everything down with some zinc or super cold galv. Sprayed that down and got our new patch panel put into place, tech screwed down. Everything seems to be fitting pretty darn good. And now, here's what we got. I'll show you guys what it looks like. So here is our floor. You can see all of our stuff has been sprayed with weld through primer or zinc. See here, this stuff right here, you can get it at your local weld shop. I like this stuff because it gives the metals, it gives us protection between the two panels, and you can weld right through it. So makes it pretty nice. So yeah, this is tech down. Like I said here, you can see there's a lot of rust. I need a new patch panel for this. I need a new patch panel for that. So these are just gonna get screwed together with tech screws to kind of hold it in place for right now until I get the new patch, which will be just fine. But up in here, all looks pretty darn good. Definitely need to make a patch for this. We'll get this welded in. We'll make a patch for that and get that welded in as well. But everywhere else, we are tech screwed down. And like the best piece of advice I could really give you is make sure you got a good connection with your tech screws and the two panels. Get the metal really, really tight together. Weld it. Move to the next one. Keep yourself a little body hammer with you. That way you can tap around. Make sure that is all the way down before you weld it. And a good ground, like where I shaved the metal here. Make sure you got a very, very good ground to your new piece of steel. It's going to help you. It's going to help everything go a lot easier. Everything's going to weld nice. It's going to make your job a little bit easier. But so once we're done with all this and we got all of our little holes here spot welded in, we'll go ahead and clean everything back up with our flap disc again. Then we'll hit it with some self-etching primer over the top of it, and then we'll be adding some seam seal. Now I do like, because I overlap the panels, I like to seam seal both the top and the bottom. Top's just easier to do or show you right now. And I'm going to show you what that looks like, because I've already gone ahead, welded up the passenger side floor, got everything cleaned off, hit it with some self-etching primer, and seam sealed it. I am waiting for the seam seal to dry before I paint over it with some matte black. And here's what that looks like. So here is our passenger side floor, and you can see everywhere our weld around the perimeter has been cleaned. They all end up kind of looking like that. Those spot welds are a little bigger, and this floor is welded to the brace that goes across here, or the cab mount brace. So, but all the way around, we have seam seal filling in our gaps. I am not seam sealing that edge though, because I still have to come up with a patch panel, or there's a whole like bottom structure and stuff in there. I want to be able to get to that without having to cut anything up. So I just got primer on it right now. We'll hit it with some paint, make it look a little nicer, but I do plan on cutting into that again. Same with that section over there. It is going to be getting the same treatment, although that side, I don't know if you can tell by the way that jam is there, it's not exactly in the right spot. It's off maybe, I think, like by 1/4 of an inch, but that could also be my sheet metal as well. So but I'm gonna go ahead and leave that open for right now. We'll just hit it with some rust preventer and some primer and hit it with some black, just so I can come back to it. All I'm really concerned with now is getting some floor panels in so we can get them to this point. But you can see everything has been primered over. We are seam sealed through our, so that right there, where those two pieces of metal come together, will end up looking like this when we're done. That way nothing can get in between the two panels and corrode. I also like to do the same treatment on the bottom when I'm underneath. Clean up the gunk around the patch, make sure our panels are nice and tight together. Hit it with some seam seal, and then I'll hit it with some undercoating, or personally I like to use the truck bed liner because it's harder and doesn't, it's just harder. To me, it takes a little bit more abuse, so I like to use that stuff. But we are all set up. We are ready. I'm going to go ahead and get you guys in the stand. I'll get you facing over there to the pilot side of the truck. We'll start welding that piece together, cleaning her up, getting it ready for some seam seal. right, our floor is all welded up. Our spot welds have been ground down, and I put a coat of self-etching primer over all our bare metal. And I came in this morning and mapped out our little maze right there. Now that is the perimeter of all our spot welds and our little patch panel right there, and a little panel up in there as well. Now that's not something you have to do. I do it because it makes me happy. For whatever reason, I like mapping it out, and well, it just makes me happy. Like I said, not something you have to do, but I like it. So here's our floor. Here is our maze. What I'm going to do is I picked this stuff up at the auto parts store. It's seam sewer, fantastic seam sewer. Pretty solid stuff, works pretty darn good. That is what I've done to that floor over there. So you can see that floor has been seam sealed with the same style map and hit with a light coat of our truck bed liner. Now, like I say before, I say a lot, I like that stuff. It is extremely durable. It doesn't peel up like just the regular rubberized undercoating. So it takes abuse. So I'll go ahead and hit it with a coat of that, just like I did over there in our tunnel. Now I did do off camera, I went ahead and moved I had to cut that hole out. So as a fresh hole, took that piece I cut, moved it up front, welded in the original hole for the shifter. So now all of that lines up, hit it with some undercoating as well, or truck bed liner. And it is getting, and I have test fitted in that hole, which makes me very, very happy that I decided to leave the original flange in there for that tunnel, because that thing still fits really nice. And I will show you that once this side is done. So what I'll do is go ahead and get our tube in our seam seal gun. I'm going to go ahead, seam seal all that up, or put a bead of seam sealer in our road map there. Once I have that, I'll put on a rubber glove, smooth everything out, peel the tape up, and then we're going to let the seam sealer kind of skin off or flash off. I think it's roughly an hour, and then we'll hit it with some undercoating. Once I got the undercoating on and that stuff is set up, I'll install this tunnel here. I'll put our tunnel cover on, show you our finished product of our floor, and then we can get to getting that seat sat in place here, so I can show you guys or see what we can come up with, get that thing bolted in its new home, right? So, but I'll get that set up, get some seam seal in that guy here real quick, and yeah, let's get to work. This guy, floors are painted and undercoated with our truck bed liner, and I gotta say it looks really, really good. Again, I am super happy that I decided to cut around and leave the original flange for our transmission tunnel in place, because that thing fits nice. And well, let's show you guys what we got. If you remember what the floors in this truck looked like at the very beginning of this video, and to see what they look like now, the front end of this, or the front floor of this pickup, has come a long way. Now, it is not perfect, but it's definitely one step closer to being better. So, and that's all I'm looking for, just being a little bit better. These should give our floors it'd be a little sturdier area or place to mount this thing right here. So what I'm gonna do is I got a couple things I'm gonna pick up out of my way. I'm gonna get the truck out of the shop. Get this guy over here on one side of this bench seat. We'll get it slid into the truck. And then I'll show you guys the mounts, kind of like the platforms I made for the back of this seat and what I want to do to finish them up. That way this is it can be removed, right? Unbolted. Everything's going to fit nice, tight, sturdy. And try to utilize these braces here. Like this is a main brace and this is a good brace too, but our front seats will be mounted up in the front area here, which is all right. I got a nice little bar to go across there and it'll sandwich everything together. So get this thing outside and we'll get that seat in the truck and I'll be right back. All right, before I show you guys the seat, what everything looks like inside the cab of this truck, kind of want to start at the back of the truck because it's kind of how I measured to get measured everything for this seat. I brought it to as far back as I could, barely letting it touch the cab. And I had to use the back window for our headrest because nothing on that seat is symmetrical and nothing on these old trucks is symmetrical. So I used the back window to help me figure everything out, and I thought that would be the best way to do it. So if you look at the back of this truck, our headrests are pretty darn close to having the same exact stick out on each side of the glass. And that was the scientific method I used to center the seat up in the truck. After I got that to where I liked it, the front bars for this seat where I bolt this seat down are very, very simple. I use 1 1/4 stock, square stock, 1 1/4 square stock or square tube. That gave me the height that I wanted and gave me something really, really strong and sturdy to set this seat on. The back, however, is a little bit of a different story. And here's what I got. So if you look back here, none of this is welded up yet. I just went through, marked, and drilled all the holes to get everything lined up. These are the platforms this seat will be sitting on. And this is just 1/8 plate all the way around. And believe it or not, these guys right here are, they're hangers for, what is this? It just happens, yeah, U-bolt hanger parts. It's a spring hanger for tandem axle trailers. I got them really, really cheap. They were just so happened, I mean, as I was playing around, took some rough measurements and I was in the store buying hardware and I came across these and just so happened to be just like the exact measurements that I wanted. And they were bent and I was like, that is perfect. Less work for me. So I went and bought 4 of these things. Cut off, you can see it's a 9/16 hole here. But I cut it off flat with the top of the hole here and then cut this end off with the other part of the hole. This is a piece out of a 6x6 1/8" plate that I have just floating around here from my spare scrap metal. So I got the holes for our seat mounts drilled into this support or this cross member that goes across for our floor. This guy goes in place just like that. I've got these bolts, so they're 1/2 inch. This one goes in on this side. And because this is an outside bolt, this bolt actually goes through another pad eye or another cross member where the cab bolts or the seat bolted. It's another cross member down there. So this goes all the way through, holding that guy into place. Now this guy here will have to, it's kind of difficult to do with one hand, but it slides up underneath our seat where I have the hole already drilled. It gets this big old bolt, same size as the factory bolts had in that Escalade. So that gets bolted all the way through there. This guy will be welded to this plate. These bolts will be welded to this plate as well. So I can get everything tightened from the bottom, hit it with an impact. All this is tight. This, we can use a wrench in here and here, bolt that together. That makes everything removable in this truck. So I'm gonna go ahead, drag the welder out again, get all these things tack welded into place, pull them out, weld them up, show you what we got. brackets are all welded up, reinstalled in the truck, back in their semi-permanent home. I say semi-permanent because all this has to come right back out again. I still got some little bit of wiring to do. I want to clean up a couple other little spots, some of these other little previously patched jobs that weren't mine, but they're going to be good enough for right now. I just want to make sure I got those all sealed up. Got some wiring I want to take care of, sound deadening too. I want to try to quiet the inside of this truck down, right? Make it a little bit more comfortable. And a couple of little things here and there, but for the most part, I am done. The seat is where it's supposed to be. Brackets are made. Everything is looking good. Front floors are patched up well enough to have something to bolt our seats to, and I don't have to worry about the cab falling through that front cab mount. That was almost completely non-existent. So, but like I said, all this has to come back out for some other stuff, but that is on a completely different video because it's dark, it's late, I'm done. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Leave me a thumbs up, leave a comment, tell me what you think, maybe some other ideas, or if some of you guys out there put other types of seats in your trucks, let me know. Share it down below. That way other people can read it, see what you got going on, right? And of course, this thing isn't 100, it isn't perfect, but it is better, and better is good enough. So thank you guys again for hanging out. Thank you for watching. Again, give a guy a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch you on the next one.